Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and let's talk about lore. I swear I sometimes feel like I'm walking on cracked eggshells when it comes to both Fallout and Elder Scrolls lore because I know how seriously their respective fan bases take the lore for those series. I'm not too sure how thrilled Elder Scrolls fans will be to find out in what I'll call the latest confirmation that Elder Scrolls Online and the Elder Scrolls Legends are both canon lore, meaning they count in the series. It's not semi-canon where some stuff is going to be throwaway, it is canon lore. This was confirmed via an interview by my buddy Camelworks, who I will have linked in the description down below, and he talked to the game director of Elder Scrolls Online, Matt Fire. Here is what Matt had to say.
One of the most common questions I get about the Elder Scrolls Online is whether its lore is considered canon in the broader Elder Scrolls.
Yes, it absolutely is. We have one full-time lore master that does nothing but work with Bethesda Game Studios to make sure that there's a consistent timeline. The characters are consistent, naming is consistent. The timeline is super important, of course, to any lore. But this is why we picked the time that we did for Elder Scrolls Online all those years ago when we started the project. Was we wanted to pick a time where there wasn't a whole lot known about it, so we could at least tell our own stories with our own characters, and we do that. But yeah, when you start to bring in things like the Sigic Order and the history of the Altmer, yes, we're very much tied into the main lore.
So you do work pretty closely with Bethesda
every day, yeah.
Now everyone, just take a second to breathe. I know this is probably your initial reaction. Huh? Sir, where are you going? Everybody calm down, okay? Calm down. Sir, man, where's everyone fucking going? Sorry, I just felt like I kind of needed to lighten the mood. I'm sure some people aren't happy about this. I believe this has been confirmed before, but there's been a decent amount of misinformation about it, so I figured it was worth making a video on it now that we have the confirmation coming from the game director's mouth. So there's a couple of areas to go from this. Number one, I know there are people out there who don't like Elder Scrolls Online or Elder Scrolls Legends because those are not the Elder Scrolls they fell in love with. They love the single-player, open-world titles. The game's driven by role-playing. I totally understand that perspective, as much as I have enjoyed Elder Scrolls Online, and actually I gave Elder Scrolls Legends another crack recently and did find myself enjoying that. Truth be told, those are not the Elder Scrolls I love. It's almost like I'm biding my time for the real thing. So I get what people are feeling in regards to those games. With that said, the silver lining of this confirmation that I want to bring up before diving into the negative stuff is that it did make Elder Scrolls Online and Legends a lot more appealing, knowing that when I'm diving in, the stories I'm experiencing, the world I'm taking in is actually being considered canon and is something that can potentially impact future games. Now, I know Elder Scrolls Online is during the second era, meanwhile Skyrim was during the fourth, so there's a big difference in time there, and I'm not sure how much what happens in ESO will impact Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think there will be any impact, but I think the first thing people look at when it comes to Elder Scrolls Online and Elder Scrolls 6 and lore in general is the retconning that happens with the series. Now, this is my own perspective on this, because now that we know that this is indeed a fact, that this is canon lore, I feel like when you have 5 mainline entries in the series, you also have Elder Scrolls Online and Elder Scrolls Legends, there is going to be some type of lore error there. You have so many hands on the series, nobody's perfect, this is not me excusing anyone, it's annoying as hell, but the mistakes are going to happen, I feel, as the series grows, because there's so much to account for, and something's going to end up overlapping with another, and it's frustrating. To add on to this point, so people don't think I'm simply favoring Bethesda, I also want to bring up another favorite series of mine, which is Star Wars. With all the comics, books, movies, shows, and games that this series receives, there have been lore errors all across the board because there is so much to account for. Is it an excuse? No, but I think it naturally occurs due to an expansion of the series itself. But I look at it this way, right? Skyrim was apparently a frozen tundra, but that didn't stop Bethesda Game Studios from taking a look at Skyrim saying, hey, look at the world we could create here if we execute this right, and it turns out it's overall not that much of a frozen tundra. And I believe the same thing would happen for Hammerfell. Often Hammerfell is referred to as just a desert in the Elder Scrolls universe, but it wouldn't surprise me if Bethesda retconned the lore a little bit and made it a more civilized area, thus making it a more enticing world to explore. That is just my own personal bit of speculation, but what I'm saying is I don't think game developers, as much as they love their lore, wanted to get in the way of certain creative decisions. Like I said, lore inconsistencies suck. They are annoying. I am 100% in agreement with you guys, but I will fully admit that there are plenty of people out there who know way more about the Elder Scrolls lore than me. Like, I was reading up on some lore inconsistencies, like for example, Cyrodiil being a big issue considering we can see it very early on, then we can see what it looks like in Oblivion, of course, and it was supposed to be just a ton of jungle, but it's obviously not that at this point, and it wasn't much earlier on when it could have been in ESO, so I get the frustration. It can be very disturbing for fans, and as I learned more about it, it did irk me a little bit, but at the same point, I want to know what people think about this and get a discussion going. Does Elder Scrolls Online and Elder Scrolls Legends become a little bit more appealing to you knowing that the lore is canon now and that what you're diving into is set in stone? Personally for me, I've always said this, I've been one to enjoy Elder Scrolls Online. I put a decent amount of time into it, and for the amount of content it offers and the price Bethesda puts it at consistently, I've always said it's been pretty worth it. But that's just from an enjoyment factor. For those out there who are crazy about the lore, I'm really looking for your hot take on this one, so I can't wait to read the comments on this. And in a last stitch of self-defense, just know I am the messenger here, okay? Don't take your anger out on me. This is just the information I'm delivering. Anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.